Welcome back, sci-fi fans, to the Science Fictionary podcast. I am Andrew, and who are you? Oh yeah, it's Marisha. So we'll see if anybody drops in the chat. We are live here on a Tuesday night, and we've still got a lot of catching up to do tonight. We are going to talk about Lord of the Rings: War of the Rohirrim. We're going to talk about the trailer, the tapestry, the new music video. For the single that was dropped, and our expectations. This is, I feel like Lord of the Rings, it's there's a little bit of a curse with being something that's as beloved as Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a little bit of a taboo almost to mess with it at all. And, the truth is today, I mean, if Peter Jackson made his movies today, they would just get ripped to shreds
on YouTube
absolutely. Before they ever came out.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I'm glad that was empty.
Yeah. Andrew's collection of Celsius cans here.
Just the one Celsius.
No, this one and this one and these two and that one over there. Collection. You should just start drinking Celsius whenever we're recording and see if they want, maybe they want to sponsor you. If they would just fund your Celsius habit, that would be like great.
That would be great. But this podcast is sponsored by water, keeping people alive since forever. They don't pay much, but they do keep you alive.
Oh, you're funny.
Just kidding. I'm not sponsored. Don't come try to tax me on that.
Right. Your water tax.
No sponsors over here. This costs me money.
It does.
Well, not this specifically, but this, things. They cost money.
Not to mention your cute setup back there.
Oh, that?
Yeah.
That was because I had to move rooms, and that was like a concession that I got to make a nicer looking setup.
It is nicer looking.
Yeah. So,
anyway,
in the interest of keeping this, I think we got a couple of people in the chat. Nobody's talking yet, but it does look like somebody popped in and somebody popped right back out. I guess they don't like me or don't like War of the Rohirrim. I don't know.
They probably just don't like me.
That seems
like, yeah, she's scary looking. Not the right response, love. Oh, Andrew wants to sleep on the sofa tonight.
Maybe that'd help my back.
Hun, no, it wouldn't. Our sofas are like 15 years old. It's not going to help your back.
Yeah.
Alas.
So,
but if you slept in there, you could, watch the War of the Rohirrim music video on repeat. And that could be fun.
Thanks for hopping in, man. Yeah.
That would be something. It was good. I liked it. I would just sleep to it. Just play it in the background and dream about it.
You might eventually start to have weird dreams, though.
It's been stuck in my head for like 3 days. So, and unfortunately, like I haven't bothered to learn the lyrics. And so this is why I learned the lyrics to songs, because otherwise they just play in my head and it's just sort of like do, 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 do. And it's super annoying.
Yeah. Well, at least not the Acolyte. I don't think that song got stuck in anybody's head.
What song?
Yeah, the Agatha, the Road. The Witch's Road song was stuck in your head for a while.
Yeah, it was bad.
So yeah, we do still have a conversation about that show coming up. And we still have so much catching up to do.
Yeah, there's lots of things. We still haven't even talked Rings of Power.
I haven't finished Rings of Power.
I know, shame on you.
Yeah, well,
I was working 13-hour days. I would get home and I was like, I'm just gonna watch 10 minutes. I was watching it.
And stupid me was at home not watching it because I thought
I was sitting between takes one day. I was sitting there like subtly, and somebody goes, that Rings of Power. I was like, there's nothing going on right now.
Yeah, thanks for dropping in, Spencer. Always good to see you. Have fun playing playing D&D.
That sounds like fun. I want to come play D&D.
Yeah, me too. I got all this cool stuff. We don't ever use
I
it.
know.
You can't see it because it's hiding behind Marissa's head back there, but no, the other way. No, it's
It's still behind
it's
my
over,
chair.
it's over there.
There we go.
Oh my. Oh my. So yeah, let's jump into
Man.
War of the Rohirrim.
And I have to say, when they were like, they're making an animated Middle Earth movie, I was like,
Yeah. Well,
Anime.
it wasn't even just animated. I mean, we grew
was
up. I grew
anime.
up. We grew up on animated The Hobbit.
You did.
Well, I grew up on animated The Hobbit.
Yeah.
And I love that movie. Like those are, I mean, those hold a special place. That was something I watched a whole lot of. But yeah, when they said animated, I was like, not animated. And then they said anime, and I went, oh no, I don't know how I feel about that. I'm still like a little off on it, but the animation looks incredible. They did go get an anime director that knows what he's doing. I mean, this is the guy that's done all of the like Ghost in the Shell stuff.
Yeah.
Like this is not a nobody. This is the real deal. Like if you wanted the big shot from that world, you went and got one of them.
Yeah. And honestly, there are definitely things that I would like to see them do animated. Lord of the Rings. There are some things that I feel like they could kind of go back and do that they couldn't really necessarily do live action anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to animated.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing The Scouring of the Shire. I wouldn't mind seeing Tom Bombadil. I wouldn't mind seeing some of those things in an animated form. So, like I said, it wasn't my first choice for something new in Middle Earth. But I mean, we have Rings of Power, which I'm really, really thoroughly enjoying. Doing the live action thing. And so I think this is going to do well with young people.
This is my question. Is it going to draw? I'm not hearing any buzz. Is it going to draw in the theater? It's coming out at a good time of year.
Yeah.
It's, it's a little early. I wish it was a little deeper into December. In that more like, now I'm sure it will stay in theater. It's going to get some of that Christmas break traffic at the theater.
Yeah.
And I don't know what, I mean, there's no Star Wars and there's no Marvel.
Right. So, I mean, I'm not going to say that it's got the corner on, but it's a really specific kind of niche. And like I said, I think anime has definitely been picking up traction, especially among younger people. I think, I mean, a lot of my peers are really into anime. Especially whenever I was teaching, I had several students who were really into it in my class of 10.
Right.
And so I think that it hopefully it will prove to be a draw for young people, because I don't think Rings of Power is that. Like the kids keep saying like, "Oh, we need to finish it," but it's not something that they're super like into. It's more something they're interested in because they just like Lord of the Rings.
I mean, they're interested in it. I think they like it, but it's also one of those things that it's kind of the same problem I've had with it a little bit. Like I'm enjoying it for the most part, but I'm also not just like knocking anybody over to get to the TV, and I don't.
I was.
Well, but that's the thing is like, I don't know if that's just kind of like where I'm at right now. There's really not anything new I'm watching or have been particularly motivated to watch.
That's kind of how I was with Agatha, honestly. I was like, all right, whatever. I guess I'll watch it.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. It's not that I didn't enjoy it, but I wasn't like knocking down the doors to get to it. But I'm hoping that this will do, even if it's not 100% my thing, I hope it does really well, because I would love to see more long format Lord of the Rings stories, even in animated form.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a minute, because this is kind of one of the holdups. We've got these announcements about the Hunt for Gollum movie,
Mm-hmm.
maybe movies. It sounded kind of like there might be a two-parter
Plurals?
there. But
Man,
well,
I'm
no, there's more than
skeptical.
enough. There's more than enough.
Yeah.
Like, so here's the thing, is, and but that's a lot of people's reaction, and what the reaction you just had is a lot of people's reaction to making a movie about it at all.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. That's kind of how I feel about it. It's just like, do we and maybe it'll be stellar. I hope it I'm gonna see it.
I
It's got
mean,
Lord of the Rings on. I'm gonna see it.
but you're gonna get Gandalf back. You're probably getting Aragorn back. I mean, you're getting Aragorn, probably getting original casting. We're probably not recasting.
Yeah.
You might get Orlando Bloom back, you might not. But we get to see other Rangers, or at least we should see other
Yeah.
Rangers. We should see the Sons of Elrond. We should see Glorfindel. There's all these characters that kind of got pushed out of the way to
Mm-hmm.
streamline the story.
Because there was so many characters in the story.
Right. So we pushed all
More,
these characters
not
out to
less.
streamline things.
Mm-hmm.
So now's our in. So there's a lot of those characters that for a long time we've been like, hey, I'd really like to see that character. And it's a
Mm-hmm.
shame it wasn't in the movie.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity to bring those characters into the story.
Yeah.
And so, for that reason alone, I'm excited about it. I'm excited that Peter Jackson's back. The Hobbit movies, yes, they were a mess in a lot of ways. There were things in them they shouldn't have done. A lot of that was simply um, studio interference.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the deal. I suspect the fact that Peter Jackson and his whole crew are back, there were some stipulations.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, the Hobbit movies,
The thing is,
they
though,
made money, but they were not as universally loved as the Lord of the Rings movies. And I think I don't think he's looking to recapture the paycheck. I think he's looking to recapture the magic.
yeah. The thing is that a lot of that magic is there in The Hobbit.
Yeah,
It's
I did not enjoy them as much in theaters. Rewatching the extended versions, it still seems really like a contradiction that the best thing that they did for the movie that was twice as long as it should have been was to add 20 minutes to each installment.
honestly, that third movie was ruined in theater for me because they were screwing around with frame rates.
Yeah.
And it just the I can't even
Mhm.
remember what the frame wasn't the traditional frame rate. It's faster,
Yeah.
and it just smooths everything. It makes everything look like a BBC show,
Yeah.
and it just totally ruined my enjoyment of that theater experience. And so I had to kind of come
Mhm.
back to it.
Yeah.
Let's see, Patrick. Just watched the trailer and it looks truly remarkable. The style is refreshingly authentic, setting a new standard beyond the typical offerings in today's animated landscape. Definitely. I mean, we've had big animated things before. It's kind of been we haven't had anything like this
I
in
mean,
a while.
honestly though, even if you just compare it to other animation, not even necessarily anime,
Well, but it's
um
so it's not like a Disney or a Pixar though,
no, it's not.
where those things like to some extent they recognize that they're animated and so they allow the silliness to creep in.
Mhm.
This could be a live action script. We're
Right.
going to do it with this beautiful animation style.
Mhm.
And then the thing is, like, I wasn't sold on the concept, but what we've seen so far is gorgeous.
And that is very much how I feel. I was really unenthusiastic about the concept of it, but the more I have seen of it, the more excited I am about it. Um, and I mean that's what you want your trailers to do, right? You want even the people who are skeptical to be like, "Well, damn."
Right.
Like not only will I see that, I might actually be excited about it.
And I will say, is it Paris Paloma
Oh my
did the
god.
supposedly that's going to be the final credit music. It may get used at some point in the movie. I
Mhm.
don't know. But If you haven't seen that, go look up Paris Paloma's Rider.
The
It is
writer.
the
Yeah.
the Rider. It's the first single they've dropped from the soundtrack for this. And if the movie is half as good as that song,
Yeah.
then we're in for a treat.
Um the lyrics are really well done. It's very the lyrics are very
Well, the
Tolkien.
lyrics are very Tolkien,
Yeah, very
and
Shakespearean in a lot of ways.
yeah, but also what I love about them is they bring back around
Mhm.
King Theoden's
Right.
lines in a way that, depending
Mhm.
on how that song is used in this trailer,
Mhm.
it's like it adds depth to
Mhm.
Theoden's
Mhm.
speech, because if this song fits into the story itself,
Right.
then Theoden is invoking
Mhm.
history in that
Yes.
speech.
Right. Which is kind of beautiful.
Well, it's like invoking the,
No.
the band of brothers
Yes, we
quote,
few, we happy few.
right?
Yeah.
Um, so it's got that kind of feel to it, especially with that last line in the song where you're literally quoting
I
from
yes.
from Theoden's speech at
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
the Ride of the Rohirrim, the Battle of Pelennor Field, and it's the song is fantastic. It's beautiful. She
Um
did it. She killed it.
she
I'd
absolutely
never
did.
heard of her before that.
Mm-mm.
Um, remarkable voice.
Yeah. I also they definitely pulled several kind of like motifs, lyrical motifs from Tolkien. They always use also use the light whenever all other lights go out. You
Yeah,
know, which is what Galadriel tells um
yeah.
Frodo
May it be a
when
light to you
yes,
when all
may
other lights go
and
out.
honestly I don't even know is that even a quote from the book or is that just a movie quote?
No, it's from the book.
Okay. Yeah, the interesting thing about and I have read the Lord of the Rings books many times. Um, but I guess they're both such a part of my like my mental catalog. There sometimes there'll be lines that I could swear were in the movie, but they're not. They're in
Yeah,
the book or vice versa.
yeah, and they did such a wonderful job with writing things that feel
Mhm.
very Tolkien.
Mhm.
Um, and it's one of the things, even the love triangle that they created in The Hobbit that
Mhm.
shouldn't have been there.
Mhm.
They still managed to do it in a way that felt like it could have come out of a Tolkien book.
Yeah.
Now, I think that it was a little bit, I don't think it's one of those things. I agree with people. It's like Tolkien would have never done that.
Mhm.
Um,
But if he had, that's how he would have done it.
but if he had,
Mhm.
that's how he would have done it. And that's kind of the path we're on here, right?
Mhm.
Because the stories, like, a lot of people are like, don't touch it, don't do more. There's not enough story. Um, and it's there's a legendarium, there's an incredibly deep legendarium, but you're going to have to be comfortable with letting a storyteller take some liberties and tell a story. They've got to put it together. They have nothing more than an outline. Even with this Helm Hammerhand story,
Mhm.
is that we just have footnotes. We have a little bit of story, a little bit of the history, but it is not fleshed out
No,
in
it's
any
not at
way,
all.
shape, or form. And a lot of people are just not, they don't want it touched.
Yeah.
They don't want anybody doing that. Of course, you have people on the other side that go, make a Silmarillion movie. And I go, you've never read the Silmarillion, have you? Because it's not a story,
Mhm.
it's a history book.
Right. It's the Old Testament.
Right. But there are a lot of
I
really
want
intriguing.
a Bjorn and Luthien
Hey,
movie.
look, don't count that out. Like, if this is successful and then if they hit a home run with this next live action film, you're looking at that being a real possibility. I don't think there's any accident here that that they have really brought everybody back.
Mhm.
Peter Jackson, Philippa Boyens,
Mhm.
and I can't remember the other lady's name that also
Fram
wrote it.
Walsh.
Yes. So they've brought those people back. I don't think that they brought them back just to oversee stuff like this, or really even just to do a
And hopefully that really good
Hunt
linguist.
for Gollum movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Hunt for Gollum is a real nice, like, hey, let's make this movie to kind of gear everything.
Proof of concept.
Well, it's not a proof of concept as much as it's like, hey, let's kind of gear the studio back up for this. And so that when we get ready to make whatever's next, I mean, they're not making the investment that they're making right now to just make that one movie or two movies, however that ends up happening. There's something bigger at play. It might be Baron and Luthien. It might be Children of Hurin.
Now, I have been told that the estate does not intend to allow a Baron and Luthien project because that story was so personal.
Yes, and
Tolkien.
Right. And so I think that I think that it's still like the percentage chance of that happening is still low, but it's not non-existent.
But there are a lot of other really fascinating stories.
Christopher Tolkien is gone.
Yeah.
He was way more of a strict guardian of this than the rest of the family. Not to mention, I don't even know where all the rights to this are really actually kind of spread out more than people realize.
Yeah.
One of the reasons there's not really a lot of merch for the Rings of Power stuff is that other companies actually own most of that merchandising rights.
I know, and it hurts my feelings. I want all the stuff.
These are things that weren't talked about in the fact that the estate actually really screwed up and parceled out a lot of licensing rights like Marvel did back in the day.
Yeah.
And so now it's under several umbrellas.
Like United Cutlery, I know, owns a lot of the merchandising rights for weapons and anything really metal.
Yeah. And so they probably bought the rights from someone other than the estate as well. So, that's like Amazon kind of posturing like, well, if we're going to do this, we're going to buy, like, and posturing like they're going to want to buy the whole thing. Well, they have the money.
Somebody doesn't want to let it go.
But there's too many pieces to collect. So even if you go round it all up and say, hey, we bought it all, you can buy it. Embracer Group can sell you the rights. Embracer owns more of it than anybody. Embracer can sell you the rights. But you don't have the rights. They're leased out. Okay. So all they can sell you is you're the lease, you're you're holding the property, but someone else has got permission to use it right now, not you.
How long does that? I mean,
so it's
those movies are 20 years old.
So there's some of that appears to be as long as you keep making something, you keep it kind of thing. In fact, a lot of speculation about this animated movie is that it was time to make something or lose it all.
Okay. I mean, I just don't understand why they didn't all decide to play ball and make money off of Rings of Power.
Yeah. So we're in danger of going really long here if we don't. So we need to do a Lord of the Rings, just a Middle Earth episode and kind of talk about a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot. Look, I mean, if you don't, like, I understand it. If you don't want it touched, you're just not going to be a fan of this stuff.
Which is fine. I mean, there are plenty of existent and there's plenty of reworkings of the same stories coming out. Numenor, Fall of Gondolin, lots of things with it's all previously published material, just kind of repackaged in a way to be chronological or whatever.
Yeah. So, but it's kind of this deal with the new stuff is there's good outlines, there's good, really fleshed out world. So it's not like somebody has to come in and create the world. But to me, this is like saying, no, I don't want more Star Wars because George Lucas isn't, because someone else is going to write it. And you go, well, George Lucas created the first movie.
Yeah.
But beyond that, other people had their hands all over it.
Right.
And and then the fantastic books that we had for well over a decade, and all these things. It's like to say, well, I don't want it because someone other than George Lucas wrote it, means throwing out Heir to the Empire. Like other people, it's like I don't want more Star Trek because Gene Roddenberry's dead.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, we've had good Treks.
We have absolutely
since he took his hands off.
Absolutely have. Some of it hasn't been everything that I could have wished.
No, there's
but
been
we
some
have
really
had
terrible stuff. And there's been, and look, if we keep making Lord of the Rings stuff, somebody's bound to make a bad one. Like you hope not.
Right.
But it's bound to happen if you make enough. Now, if they really take their time and really limit what they're putting out, they might be able to prevent making anything that's just terrible. You might get another Hobbit, which is, in retrospect, I enjoy them more every time I go back and watch them. They're fun.
Yeah.
There are things in them that are a little silly. Granted, the book is more silly than the movie, but when you're trying to build it into a cohesive cinematic world, do you do that?
Yeah.
They chose to do it. So I don't know, but the real complaint with this one, and we do need to address this as part of what we're going to cover over the next 10 minutes or so before we get out of here, is the big complaint, the chief complaint here is that the story does not appear to follow, the Helm Hammerhand is not the main character. Now, granted, the movie is not called Lord of the Rings, Helm Hammerhand.
Which is initially, I think, when they were like, we're making a Helm Hammerhand movie. And it was like, it's about his daughter. Everybody went.
Right. But it's not just, he's all over all this stuff.
Yes.
Now, so what do you think about that, though? Because a lot of people are just writing it off altogether because they went the direction of making.
So initially I was like, but why? But, kind of the more I've thought about it, Helm Hammerhand is kind of a aloof.
He is. I mean, he's almost a mythological figure beyond his death.
He's almost like an Odin character.
Yes,
like
you're not like an old god. Like
you're not going to make an Odin movie. You're going to make a Thor movie,
right?
And so in that way, I can kind of see.
To think we get to see this mythological person through someone else's eyes.
And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, especially because you need a point of you need a point of view character. You need a point of contact that is at least kind of relatable, and he's not.
Well, and that's the thing, is how accessible is Helm Hammerhand?
I mean, it's like we're not going to make a Saruman movie.
Right. So it's like when you make a master, if you were going to make this was always the debate for years about a Halo movie.
Yes.
Do you make Master Chief the main character, or is he a soldier? Is he being followed by a group of soldiers, and they're witnessing this, this mythological being through their eyes here.
And I think you can kind of retain a little more of that separation and that sense of mythology if he's not the point of view character.
Right. Well, so here's my thought on it. And I agree with you a lot, but I also think that for all the people very concerned about them messing with the story, so we have to flesh out story, right? We have to. There's not a movie's worth of story about Helm Hammerhand or this event. We just know it happened.
Right.
We know we know the main players. We know how it goes down. From what I've seen from the trailer, what we've seen of Helm is his moments from the outline, from what we know. So by creating the news story around another character, we don't risk as much altering the character story that we already know. We can just let her witness what we already know about this character.
I mean, it's kind of the opposite approach they took for Lord of the Rings. They basically decided to go in and flesh out all of your main characters.
Yes. Well, you had to.
Well, yes, but instead of bringing in different point of view characters and they decided to go with the big ones: Galadriel, Elrond, Gil-galad, Sauron,
Mm.
Elendil, Muriel, like they decided to really go in for all of your big name second age characters and like tell lots more stories about them
Yeah.
specifically. And so you know, in some ways I kind of wonder if this is taking a different approach intentionally. Like, okay, well, let's see how this goes over.
Yeah. So we'll see how the character is. I have no problem. You know, there's going to be the typical complaints about another girl boss, and look, that's a risk. That's a risk you're taking because that has. I don't mind the whole strong female character thing, but literally every action franchise is pushing it, and it's
Mm-hmm.
you know it's mostly men that watch those action franchises. Not that this is an action franchise, a little different, so that's why I'm not as concerned about it.
Yeah.
But like when every action star is a 90-pound woman, you start to go,
It's
okay,
also though like she's you know, the women of Rohan.
yeah, well,
She's a woman of Rohan.
right, and that's why I hope this is gonna. So first of all, our narrator
Mm-hmm.
is
Yes.
is
Miranda.
yeah, the actress that played Eowyn.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see at what point she's telling the story.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope there's an overlap. I want this to be her in the caves at Helm's Deep,
Mm-hmm.
reiterating the story to the children.
Yes. Right before she goes out after the Witch King.
Right. So
I mean, not directly before, but
right, but
you know.
this is where I hope they're tying that in. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Because she's where she doesn't want to be, but she's also not going to sit and do nothing.
Right, exactly.
So, her as the comforter here in this moment would be great. But her specifically, the character that told us that, women of our kingdom learned long ago that
those without swords can still die on them.
Yeah. So look, I'm all for this. I'm fine with it. I think like I said, I think it gives us the opportunity to witness the story we know through her eyes rather than trying to tie ourselves to one specific character that we already know where they're going.
And also the thing is, if you read the books, you know how his story ends.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, we don't know for sure how long he's going to go in here. And I don't want to get into spoilery territory, but like,
right,
his story could play out well before halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
And he's just the catalyst for the rest of the story.
But it also allows you to tell a story that you don't know the end to.
Right.
Because we know
True.
that we know how his story ends, but we don't know how. We know how the we know the direction that the greater story goes, right? We know obviously Rohan does not fall to the Easterlings, but like there are a lot of more short-term places for the story to pay off.
Right. All right. So just before we totally wrap up, what jumps out at you? What did you see in the trailer that you really liked?
It's the it's so well like the composition. That's what I'm looking for. Like everything that I've seen is very thoughtfully composed.
Yes. So almost every scene you've seen so far is a beautiful piece of art.
Yes. And that's important, especially in animation. Composition is so important in filmmaking period, but especially for animation. And I think that they've knocked the aesthetic in the composition and just the whole look of the thing. I'm really sold on. I don't love all of her specific looks. I'm really not a fan of that white bodysuit she comes in. But overall the look is very good.
Yeah. So I like the look of a lot of the armor, the soldiers. I love that we're going to see eagles. We're going to see
eagles. Yeah, they're
Mumakil.
really leaning into the Eagles here lately.
Yeah.
You haven't gotten there, I don't think, in Rings of Power, but they really lean into the Eagles
So
here
a
too.
little bit there.
Mm-hmm.
With Mumakil, the
Mhm.
Olivants.
Yes.
So I'm curious to see like what all we're gonna see. Look like we see some trolls. I don't know how many orcs we're gonna see. Tied
Somebody's
to
going after rings.
this. We're getting some original unused
Yes.
Saruman
Dialogue.
dialogue.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it's not like it's not an AI recreation or anything like that. Like they actually went into the archive because supposedly there is just hours of stuff we've never seen. And
Word is there's pretty much as much left on the cutting room floor as actually made it into the movie.
well, they filmed for 3 years.
I want to see it all. I want to see it
you
all.
want the Mithril edition too?
I do. I want it all.
So that they were able to go into the archive and pull unused dialogue for Saruman.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be cool to see that. And I mean, we could see there could be some surprises in who shows up.
Mm-hmm.
We're 200 years before the events of Lord of the Rings, so there's a few people that could show up. There's one shot in there that could have been the Watcher in the water.
Yeah, it definitely gives that vibe.
So maybe we take a little trip to ask the dwarves for help at some point. I don't know.
I mean, decent chance we have some run in with Glorfindel or Elrond or somebody.
Yeah, hopefully we see some elves.
And we got to see at least, like get a passing glance at them at some point, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll definitely see some previous stewards of Gondor.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
we're
like
gonna
the Gondorans.
we'll at least get references.
I saw this meme the other day. It was like, where was Gondor when the West March fell? In Gondor.
In Gondor.
Like, all right, that's my new favorite thing. In Gondor. Yeah.
All right. Well, so you looking forward to it?
I am.
Leery of it? Like where are you?
Everything that I have seen has made me increasingly excited for it.
Yes.
So at this point, although I was very skeptical of it initially, I am increasingly enthusiastic about it.
So I'm the same way. I was leery of it at first just because of the route they chose to go. I was worried that going animation they would cheap out on it, but they didn't. Like I said, they went and got people that know what they're doing, and obviously got good artists on it.
Yeah,
as
clearly.
Well. I don't remember. Do you remember who's doing the music?
No, but it's beautiful.
Well, we've only heard the one piece, and it. I mean,
we've heard some things in the trailer. I assume the music in the trailer that is not the Rohirrim theme from Lord of the Rings is probably from the movie.
Yeah, so I mean, we've heard a few things. I mean, the ones that stand out to me in the trailer are the familiar things, the Fellowship's theme, and the Rohirrim, and those are the things. So in the thing with the tapestry, there's a beautiful thing. If you go look up the War of the Rohirrim tapestry, there's a beautiful animated tapestry that they did, and there's a behind the scenes for it. In the behind the scenes look, you think they'll sell that music box?
I hope so.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
That plays the Rohirrim theme?
Yeah.
Nicole, welcome to the chat. It has been a while.
It has.
Probably more our fault that you haven't been in our chat than yours because we haven't been here.
No chat.
Yeah. But so this got a little longer than I really envisioned it going, but
it does, as it does.
So I think we've covered what we can cover. I'm not interested in doing a frame by frame trailer breakdown, especially this close. I mean, the trailer's been out for a while.
And I mean, honestly, there are people who do so well with those frame by frame trailer breakdowns. It's like,
oh, I don't have that kind of time.
No.
So
someday.
I think December 4th is the release date. It's coming up. I mean, soon. Tickets are on sale, so we will be back to do a full breakdown of the movie after we see it, and Yeah, I'm excited. If I wasn't excited before, so I was excited about the trailer. The tapestry was really cool. The first piece of music that was released just put me over the top.
Yes.
Excited for it.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. It's honestly, as much as I love the Lord of the Rings soundtrack, Enya was never my jam. And so like for there to be a vocal track on a Lord of the Rings movie that I'm really excited about is exciting for me because even like I said, even back in the day.
Well, I mean, The Hobbit. And didn't the same guy that wrote some of the stuff for the Hobbit movie? I don't know if he's doing the whole. Is he doing the full soundtrack or did he just do that one song?
I think he is doing the whole soundtrack. He's the one who wrote the he didn't write all the music for the Hobbit, but he wrote the That's What Bilbo Baggins Hates song.
He put music to Tolkien's stuff.
And he also
did he do the Misty Mountains?
No, he did the song the goblins sing under the Misty Mountains. He wrote the
okay
torture song or whatever.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So I think we're both excited for it. I think it's going to be good. So let us know if you're going to go see it. Let us know what you think about it. Thank you to Patrick and Nicole and Spencer for hopping in the chat with us here for a minute. Nicole, I'm sorry that you just got here and we're taking off, but our effort to do an under 30-minute episode has so far turned into a 42-minute episode. So Marisha wants to go to bed. So
yeah. Oh wait, we'll be reading The Hobbit in 20. Yeah. That's awesome. I'm excited. Fun story. I actually read Dracula and I read the whole thing. It's like, I'm going to book club. And then I got a job.
Yep.
But I read Dracula. So.
And then when Marisha got a job, I just, had to do all the things.
All the things
here. So.
Well, you had to actually get up and take Elijah to school every morning at the crack of dawn. That cuts into
my reading.
Yeah.
Anytime if I was doing reading, that would have really cut into it.
It cuts into your life.
Right. All right. Well, that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you to everybody that hopped in the chat. Like I said, let us know in the chat what you think about this, what you think about the whole project, what you think about all the new upcoming Lord of the Rings stuff. And until next time, may the Force be with you.
This podcast is a member of the Red 5 Network. For more Red 5 Network podcasts and content creators, visit bio.link/Red5.